Careful where you place your hands. Curses are infectious. I'm your host Youssef, and these are 10 cursed items you are forbidden from touching. Anyways, let's get handsy. Number 10, the Anguished Man. The Anguished Man is a painting created by an unknown artist. Owner Sean Robinson from Cumbria, England, claims to have inherited the painting from his grandmother, who told him that the artist who created the painting had mixed his own blood into the paint and passed away by taking his own life soon after finishing the work. The painting has been characterized as being supposedly haunted. Robinson uploaded videos of the painting to his YouTube channel in 2010, in which he claims to have heard crying and moaning noises in his house, and to have once seen the figure of a man. In 2016, rights were acquired to make a film based on the story of the painting. Actually, back in 2015, there were rumors floating around that suggested the painting were being sold to the highest bidder. Although it turned out to be false, who in their right mind would want to buy this thing? Look at the painting. That thing wouldn't be anywhere near my hands if I could do something about it. Number 9, the Tomb of Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered in 1922 by excavators led by Howard Carter. As a result of the quantity and spectacular appearance of the burial goods, the tomb attracted a media frenzy and became the most famous find in the history of Egyptology. The passing of Carter's patron, the Earl of Carnarvon, in the midst of the excavation process inspired speculation that the tomb was cursed. The discovery produced only limited evidence about the history of Tutankhamun's reign and the Amarna period that preceded it, but it provided insight into the material culture of wealthy ancient Egyptians, as well as patterns of ancient tomb robbery. Tutankhamun became one of the best known pharaohs, and some artifacts from his tomb, such as his golden funerary mask, are among the best known artworks from ancient Egypt. Most of the tomb's goods were sent to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo and are now in Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza, although Tutankhamun's mummy and sarcophagus are still on display in the tomb. Flooding and heavy tourist traffic have inflicted damage on the tomb since its discovery, and a replica of the burial chamber has been constructed nearby to reduce tourist pressure on the original tomb. Number 8, the Hope Diamond. The diamond has been surrounded by a mythology of a reputed curse to the effect that it brings misfortune and tragedy to anyone who owns it or wears it. But there are strong indications that such fabrications enhance the stone's mystery and appeal, since increased publicity usually raised the gem's value and newsworthiness. According to many specious accounts in the late 19th and early 20th century, the original form of the Hope Diamond was stolen from an eye of a sculpted statue of the Hindu goddess Sita. However, much like the Curse of Tutankhamun, this general type of legend was most likely the independent creation of Western authors during the Victorian era, and the specific legends about the Hope Diamond's cursed origin were invented in the early 20th century to add mystique to the stone and increase its sales appeal, as well as increase newspaper sales. Number 7, the Crying Boy. On the 5th of September 1985, the British tabloid newspaper The Sun reported that an Essex firefighter claimed that undamaged copies of the painting were frequently found amidst the ruins of burned houses. By the end of November, belief in the painting's curse was widespread enough that The Sun was organizing mass bonfires of the paintings sent in by readers. Steve Punt, a British writer and comedian, investigated the curse in a BBC Radio 4 production called Punt PI. The conclusion reached by the program following testing at the building research establishment is that the prints were treated with a varnish containing fire retardant, and that the string holding the painting to the wall would be the first to deteriorate, resulting in the painting landing face down on the floor and thus being protected. David Clark, investigative journalist, says that stories naming the child as Don Bonillo or Diablo did not emerge until 2000 in a book by Tom Sleman. They relate the child to several fires, including the painter's studio. However, he says that there is absolutely no truth whatsoever to any of that. Number 6, Robert the Doll. According to legend, the doll has supernatural abilities that allow it to move, change its facial expressions, and make giggling sounds. Some versions of the legend claim that a young girl of Bahamian descent gave Otto the doll as a gift or as retaliation for a wrongdoing. Other stories claim that the doll moved voodoo figurines around the room and was aware of what went on around him. Still, other legends claim that the doll vanished after Otto's house changed ownership a number of times after his passing, or that young Otto triggered the doll's supernatural powers by blaming his childhood mishaps on the doll. According to local folklore, the doll has caused car accidents, broken bones, job loss, divorce, and a cornucopia of other misfortunes, and museum visitors supposedly experience post-visit misfortunes for failing to respect Robert. Number 5, Busby's stoop chair. The Busby stoop chair is an allegedly haunted oak chair that was cursed by the butcher Thomas Busby before his execution by hanging in 1702 in North Yorkshire in in the United Kingdom. Due to the many passings later attributed to people sitting in the chair, the landlord donated it to the Thirsk Museum. Thomas Busby was arrested, tried, and condemned to execution after he ended his father-in-law Daniel Audi in 1702. Audi and Busby were running a coin counterfeiting business, as well as other criminal enterprises, and they argued about the business, which ended with Busby removing Audi from the picture. One variation of the story has Busby cursing the chair whilst on his way to the execution, whereas another says that he was drunk in the chair when he was arrested and cursed it then. Number 4. The Gold of Tolosa. The Gold of Tolosa was never found, but was suspected to have remained in the custody of the Servili Capiones, who, despite the total impoverishment of their patriarch, became immensely wealthy. Despite this, the heirs of Capio also seemed to suffer from unlucky ends. During the Social War, Capio's son, also called Quintus Servilius Capio, was tricked by the Marsic general Quintus Popatus Silo and ambushed, which resulted in the destruction of his army and his own passing. Capio's grandson passed away young from an unnamed illness, while the last heir, Capio's great-grandson Marcus Junius Brutus, would undertake the assassination of Julius Caesar, an action which eventually led to the rise of Octavian and the Roman Empire, and Brutus's passing at the Battle of Philippi. The sources make frequent allusions to the gold being cursed. The earliest, Strabo, says that due to having laid hands on the Gold of Tolosa, Capio ended his life in misfortunes, while his near contemporary Pompeius Trogus even suggested that the defeat of Orozio was punishment for the theft of the treasure. A Latin proverb, aurum habet Tolosanum, he has got the Gold of Tolosa, taken to mean his ill-gotten wealth will do him no good, was even formed as a result. Number 3. The Hands Resist Him. The Hands Resist Him is a painting that was created by artist Bill Stoneham in 1972. It depicts a young boy and a female doll standing in front of a glass paneled door against which many hands are pressed. According to Stoneham, the boy is based on a photograph of himself at age 5. The doorway is a representation of the dividing line between the waking world and the world of fantasy and impossibilities, while the doll is a guide that will escort the boy through it. The titular hands represent alternative lives or possibilities. The painting became the subject of an urban legend and a viral internet meme in February 2000, when it was posted for sale on eBay, along with a description implying that it was haunted. Number 2. James Dean's car. The curse of James Dean's car, the little bastard, has become part of America's cultural mythology. The story of the curse begins before the car itself has been involved in any crash. In his 1985 autobiography, Blessings in Disguise, British actor Sir Alec Guinness relates that on his first night in Los Angeles on September 23, 1955, after leaving a restaurant with no table available and setting out to look elsewhere, he and his friend Talma Moss met James Dean, who invited them to dine with him at his table at the place they had just left, and showed them his silver Porsche, with Dean saying, "It's just been delivered." A hungry and exhausted Guinness then warned Dean to never go into the car. Please, never get in it. It is now 10 o'clock, Friday the 23rd of September, 1955. If you get in that car, you will be found without your life in it by this time next week. The following Friday, his prediction would come true. Number 1. Annabelle. Annabelle is an allegedly haunted Raggedy Ann doll housed in the now closed Occult Museum of the paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Annabelle was moved there after supposed hauntings in 1970. A character based on the doll is one of the antagonists that appear in the Conjuring universe. According to the Warrens, a student nurse was given the doll in 1971. They said that the doll behaved strangely and that a psychic medium told the student that the doll was inhabited by a spirit of a deceased girl named Annabelle. The student and her roommate tried to accept and nurture the spirit-possessed doll, but the doll reportedly exhibited malicious and frightening behavior. It was at this point that the Warrens say they were first contacted, moving the doll to their museum after pronouncing it demonically possessed. The doll remained in a glass box at the Warrens Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut until the museum's closing. Thanks for watching. Those were 10 cursed items you are forbidden from touching. Leave a like and comment telling us of what we missed down below, and we hope you have a scary day.